Before I respond to questions, I want to urge the Australian government to heed the calls by the UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon and US President Barack Obama at the UN Climate Summit in New York overnight. Ban Ki-moon has called for bold new initiatives to tackle climate change, and Barack Obama has said that we are the first generation to feel the effects of climate change and the last generation to be able to do something about it. It's significant that most of the world's leaders attended the climate summit and have talked in a serious way about the need for urgent action to tackle climate change, and I believe that the Australian government needs to heed that call, and also the message coming from the rallies on the weekend of thousands of Australians calling for action on climate change, and, for example, the Rockefeller Foundation, which of course built up its money through fossil fuels, indicating that it intends to move out of fossil fuels and only invest in companies and products that don't contribute to climate change.
Is it problematic, though, that China and India, the leaders of those two countries, have not attended these talks?
Clearly it would have been preferable if they had sent their leaders to these talks, just as it would have been preferable if Australia had sent our Prime Minister to these talks. But I think it's noteworthy, particularly in relation to China, that it is increasingly talking about the need for action and is moving towards renewable energy more rapidly than it has been doing in the past. So I think that there are some positive signs in relation to China, and certainly indications from around the world, with the US President showing real leadership in this area, setting targets to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, that there is real, serious, concerted international action happening.
We've had a pretty serious incident in Melbourne late last night. A person who was apparently being under surveillance for counter-terrorism, the police shot dead. Does this confirm the reasons why we've got increased security here at Parliament House, the reason why the terror alert has been lifted?
Well, I've said in the last couple of days that we need to be prudent in these matters and to take the approach that's better safe than sorry. Obviously, the incident that's happened is very distressing for everybody concerned. I simply make the observation that there are some young men right around the world of all sorts of backgrounds who think that resort to weapons and violence is a good way to get what they want. In fact, in every case, they're universally mistaken. It only leads to pain and suffering, and usually ends badly for those who embark on it.
The Greens have claimed that Australia's actions in the Middle East could be a catalyst for attacks like apparent attacks like this, or for further attacks in the future. Do you agree with that, sir?
I don't have any insight into the motivations of particular people who contemplate or engage in attacks, but attacks are not justified. Violence is no way to secure your objectives. If you think that things should be done differently, you have to persuade other people in a democratic society, in a democratic community, of your position. And so there is no excuse for recourse to violence. I think that the actions that have been taken by the United States so far have been with humanitarian objectives in mind, having regard to our responsibility to protect innocent civilians. I think that Barack Obama is probably the least warlike president you would have encountered in 100 years, that he has been reluctant to engage in any action which might be construed as provocative. And in relation to the latest action, it's significant that he has received support from a number of Middle East countries such as Qatar and Bahrain and Jordan and the like, and so that suggests to me that the action that has been taken is legitimate and proportionate to the difficulties faced and the threats that are being faced.
How worried should the public be about its safety?
Well, I think we have to be prudent and cautious, but as I've said before, we should not allow threats from extremists or from people associated with the Islamic State to stop us from going about our normal and usual way of life. It's a great thing to be an Australian in Australia, and we should continue to experience and enjoy the joys of being Australian, and not allow these things to change the way that we live.
Do you believe that police should have greater powers of arrest and questioning?
I think that the powers that police have been shown to work, and I think that our security agencies have been doing a good job, a successful job of preventing any attacks from occurring on Australian soil. If they indicate that they need additional powers of any kind, of course I and others are prepared to consider those things, but on the face of it, it seems to me that the existing powers are adequate.
We had an interview with the former Prime Minister Julie Gillard last night on TV. Did you watch it?
You asked me whether I was going to. In fact, I ended up giving a speech in Parliament on infrastructure legislation about why the East-West link in Victoria is way too expensive and a poor use of taxpayers' dollars. So I haven't seen it yet. I might get that opportunity today.
But it's hit the headlines in the newspapers, extensive coverage. Has it opened up old wounds within the Labor Party?
Well, not in my experience. In talking with colleagues through this week, we are very focused on holding the government to account for its broken election promises, the no cuts to health, no cuts to education, no cuts to pensions, all of those sorts of issues, which are the sorts of things that Australians expect us to be focused on.
We've got the two major players in destabilisation and the minority government. That's still, they're still attacking each other in the headlines. Surely that's not particularly helpful when you've got that job of trying to keep the government to account.
Well, I don't think it has any impact on what we're doing as a federal Parliamentary Labor Party. We had a Parliamentary Labor Party caucus meeting yesterday. There was no discussion of that. The issues that we discussed are issues that are coming before the Parliament this week. They were the things that we were focused on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.